Most people work for their money every single day, but is your money doing anything for you? That's something I didn't really understand when I was younger. But over the last 6 or 7 years, I've developed something I didn't really have before: financial clarity. When I recently read The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason, I realized that a lot of the things I'd learned through experience were principles that people had been writing about for nearly a century, maybe even more. I'm going to talk about the 5 things that completely changed the way I think about money. For most of my life, I didn't really understand money, and honestly, I was fortunate enough that I didn't have to. My family took care of pretty much everything: food, school fees, supplies, the things I needed growing up. Because where I'm from, attending high school costs money, and I never really had to think about any of that. Money was just there. Until I moved out. Suddenly, I was responsible for everything: rent, groceries, transportation, and bills. God, I hate bills. And I realized pretty quickly that money can disappear a lot faster than you think. That was probably the first time I actually understood the value of a dollar. One of the things I'm proudest of is once I became independent and moved out, I never once asked my parents for money again. Not because I had everything figured out, because I didn't, but I started understanding something I hadn't really understood before. Money represents your time. Most of us are kind of forced to trade our time for money, like working. So when you spend $100, you're not just spending $100, you're spending a piece of the time it took you to earn that $100. And once I understood that, saving money started looking completely different to me. If you spend every dollar you make, that dollar is gone. But if you save it and eventually invest it, that money has the potential to make more money for you. And then that money can make even more money, because the more it grows, the more powerful compounding becomes. That's when I realized something that sounds incredibly obvious now to me. You need to pay yourself first. Don't wait until the end of the month and hope there's something left, because there probably won't be if you don't plan for it. Save first, then live on what's left. The goal isn't to hoard money forever. It's not to be a miser or to starve yourself. It's to eventually have enough money working for you that you don't have to trade every hour of your life for it. That's something I learned from experience long before I read the book. But eventually when I read it, it was almost like someone had taken everything I'd started figuring out and put it into words. The second thing I learned is that making more money doesn't mean you need a more expensive life. I've been very fortunate to be one of the younger people in a lot of the rooms I've been in. My friends, my siblings' friends, my dad's friends, and I've spent years listening to people talk about their lives, what they bought, what they did, how they lived. One thing I noticed over and over again was what happened when someone got a raise or a promotion. They would immediately start talking about all the things they could afford now, like a nicer car, a nicer house, more restaurants, more trips, more stuff in general. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with enjoying a raise, because I think people earned it. You should. But I started noticing something that really stuck with me. Some of these people, like my dad's friends, colleagues, or clients, had been working for decades, and some were still expecting to work well into their 60s and 70s. And then I see people around my own age doing the same thing on a smaller scale. I've seen people spend hundreds of dollars going out multiple times a week, only to be scrambling to pay rent before their next paycheck. I've seen people spend money constantly because their parents were paying for their lifestyle. Again, I'm not necessarily judging anyone for enjoying their life, because I believe everyone's entitled to do so. But I realized something. If every increase in your income becomes an increase in your lifestyle, you can make more money without ever actually becoming more financially free. You get a raise, so you spend more. You get another raise, so you spend even more. And eventually, the lifestyle you thought was a reward becomes the thing you have to keep working to maintain. You don't have to live like you're broke, but if financial independence is the goal, there's tremendous power in simply allowing your lifestyle to grow slower than your income. Because every dollar you don't inflate away is another dollar you can put toward your future. The third thing I learned is that your money needs a purpose. Saving money just for the sake of seeing a bigger number in your bank account can only motivate you for so long. You need to know what you're actually saving for. For me personally, it's financial independence. It's one of my biggest goals. I don't necessarily want to stop working. I just want to stop having to work just to survive. And there's a huge difference there. I want the freedom to pursue and work on projects that actually inspire me, to pursue things I'm passionate about, to have the option to walk away from something that makes me miserable without wondering how I'm going to pay my bills next month. For someone else, that goal might be buying their first home, starting a business, traveling, taking care of their family, or simply having the freedom to quit a job. Whatever it is, give your money a destination, because when you know what you're working toward, saving stops feeling like you're depriving yourself. You're buying future options. And I learned another lesson here the hard way. I managed to save around $30,000 from internships and part-time jobs when I was younger, and I was very proud of that. But I was also doing something incredibly stupid. You see, I was letting most of it sit in a basic savings account earning practically nothing. We're talking like 4 cents a month, which is nothing. I had spent years working to build this nest egg, and I was letting it sit there doing nothing. That taught me that to pursue true financial independence and clarity, saving is only the first step. It's a big step, don't get me wrong, but it's one of many to come. Once you've built an appropriate emergency fund and you have money you don't immediately need, you should actually learn how to put that money to work. Whether that's a high-interest savings account, a GIC, also known as a guaranteed investment certificate, or investments like diversified ETFs, also known as exchange-traded funds, depends on what the money is for, how long you can leave it alone, and how much risk you're comfortable taking. The point is, don't blindly save. Learn what your money can actually do. Because inflation doesn't care how proud you are of your savings account. The fourth thing I learned is that looking rich is not the same thing as being rich. A brand new car doesn't mean you're wealthy. Designer clothes don't mean you're wealthy. The newest phone model doesn't necessarily mean you're rich. You can spend an incredible amount of money trying to convince other people that you have money. And there's a particularly nasty psychological trap that comes with it. When you constantly spend lavishly around people, you start teaching them that this is who you are. Imagine you're dating someone and for the first few months, you're constantly taking them to expensive restaurants, buying them gifts, paying for everything, and doing all these extravagant things. Eventually, that's no longer seen as special. It's just the baseline. It's expected. And suddenly, when you can't afford to do more, doing less feels like you're doing something wrong. So you spend more to maintain the image you created. I've seen people close to me do this repeatedly, and they ended up broke and disappointed. I'm not saying you shouldn't spoil someone you love. You absolutely can and should at times. But please take care of your financial life before you try to finance someone else's expectations of you. Don't create a lifestyle that you have to perform. Because the richest looking person in the room isn't necessarily the wealthiest. Sometimes they're just the person spending the most. And eventually, all of these lessons led me to what I think is the most important one. Money is peace of mind, not happiness. Because money doesn't magically make you happy. But having enough money can remove an enormous amount of stress from your life. If your car breaks down all of a sudden, you can handle it. You can deal with unexpected bills. You can deal with sudden laying off of your job because you have some breathing room. If the opportunity of a lifetime comes, you can actually take it. You can afford to help people that you care about because you finally have the ability to. That's what financial clarity means to me. It's not having millions of dollars, even though that would be amazing to have. It's knowing where your money is going, knowing what you're saving for exactly, what you can afford, and what you don't need. Most importantly, knowing that one unexpected expense isn't going to completely destroy you. There's a very popular saying that money doesn't buy happiness. And I think that's true to a point. But I also think there's a massive difference between having enough money to live comfortably and having so little that every unexpected expense becomes a crisis. Money gives you options, and the more options you have, the more control you have over your life. That's ultimately what I'm trying to buy. Not a bigger house, a nicer car, or some ridiculous display of wealth, but freedom. The freedom to decide what I do with my time. And I think that's the biggest thing the richest man in Babylon reinforced for me. Even though these are lessons that I already know and have developed over the years, these aren't really lessons about becoming rich. They're lessons about making sure the money you work so hard for doesn't disappear the moment you earn it. Because your money can either become something you constantly have to chase or something that eventually helps you buy back your time. And for me, that's what financial clarity before 25 really means. I don't have everything figured out. I don't know exactly where I'll be financially 10 years from now. But I've spent the last 6 or 7 years learning, working, making mistakes, watching other people, and figuring out what kind of relationship I actually want to have with money. I believe that's the biggest difference. I'm not trying to become rich just so I can say I'm rich. I'm trying to build a life where money gives me more choices instead of controlling the choices I make. And for the first time in my life, I feel like my money is working toward that future with me. Thanks for watching Rardo, and I'll see you in the next video.